All right, let's start working on some validation for our form. We'll split this out a little further. Get a little more room for the code there. The first thing we're going to do is add a required message for the name. And we'll do this very similarly to how we did this in Angular 1. We'll create a span class help block, which is a bootstrap class. And we'll say name is required. Now that help block is going to show no matter what right now. We're going to make sure that it only shows if that input field is not valid. We're going to use a structural directive, so that means we'll do a star ngIf, and this will only show if this is true, the name is invalid. Right now, that help block is going to show since the name field is invalid. Let's fill it out. All right, now it disappears thanks to our structural directive that Angular gave us. But we want to make sure that it only shows if somebody's already typed into that field. It doesn't really make sense to show an error message when somebody hasn't typed into it yet, so we'll do and name has been touched. Now we get no error message. If we select it and then we go to the next input field, the field has been touched, the field is still invalid, and that shows our error message. We'll do the same for the username. If we tab there, both are invalid, name and username. And now our form is ready to be submitted. Let's add some placeholders here to make sure that these are a little bit easier to read. Placeholder, and this is just a UI thing, name and placeholder, username. It would help if we spelled it correctly. There we go. Now we get name and username. The last thing we're going to do for validation is make sure that we have the colored classes that Bootstrap provides us. And we're going to use ngClass here. ngClass makes a comeback here. We can evaluate has error is the class we want to add only if the name is invalid and the name has been touched. We'll do the same for username. And now that's a little bit much in our template, but we actually have a very solid form. If we tab both, we have our error classes, so we can see that red there, and we have our error messages. This is the template-driven approach that we are used to from Angular 1. In another course, we'll be looking more into the forms and looking at the model-driven way, which cleans up our template considerably. That's everything we need to create the form. Let's start going ahead to processing the form.